Okay, so let me get started. So first of all, thanks very much to the Fondazione Rodolfo Di Benedetti for the invitation. For Paolo and colleagues at Bocconi, we're all very thankful to have this really rich discussion today, and also to you, the participants, for what we hope this final session will be a very interactive session. So let me quickly introduce our distinguished panel. Jennifer Hunt brings a really rich background from both the academic and policy fora. She served as chief economist in the US Ministry of Labor and is a professor of Rutgers, among other things, highlighting two. And so she'll bring a very unique perspective to this panel with a breadth of knowledge and academic research of what lessons can the economic literature on migration provide to helping policymakers shape the asylum debate. In a 2010 publication entitled "How Much Does Immigration Boost Innovation?", she looks at the relationship in the US immigrants, among US immigrants and patent applications. She finds that among US immigrants, they account for 24% of patents, which is twice their share in the population. And further, in a subsequent related paper, she finds immigrants who have entered on a student visa or a temporary work visa end up having higher wages, file more patents, and publish more papers than natives. So if I might risk to try to simplify this argument, this might be evidence that immigrants work even harder than nationals to achieve success, and one could hypothesize this is potentially due to external pressure to maintain become ultra-competitive in a market where immigrants face tougher competition than locals, to preserve perhaps work visas and have limited social networks. Next, I'm very pleased to introduce Niels Harold, who's an economist with, again, quite a diverse background in terms of policy on forced displacement. Niels brings a rare personal perspective of working both for humanitarian and development agencies, for UNHCR and the World Bank. And notably, not many people can say this, but Niels has played a personal role in increasing employment for migrants to the US. These migrants are high-skilled migrants and staff at the World Bank Global Program on Forced Displacement that Niels started in 2009 and ran until last year. The goal of the Global Program on Forced Displacement at the World Bank is to enhance the global development response to forced displacement through economically and socially sustainable programs. And much to his credit, this center, this unit at the bank has really gained enormous traction, and we're really seeing a much richer relationship with the bank and the collaboration between humanitarian and development. Lastly but not least, allow me to welcome Carlota Sami, who is my colleague from UNHCR, and really at the very heart of the European debate on refugees, as the Southern Europe chief press agent, spokesperson for the Southern Europe and chief press agent for the Italian press. Carlota has the challenging role of pressing for inclusive asylum policy in Europe, in a European climate of increasingly restrictive policies. This climate where even we've seen Sweden, traditionally the global leader on upholding the 51 Convention and offering a comprehensive asylum policy for refugees, which has reverted to the EU minimum of issuing refugees only temporary residence permits starting this month. So as you can see, this panel really sets us up for a rich debate. And before I hand over to the panelists, I want to introduce and frame the discussion with a couple facts and findings from research. First, forcibly displaced people are different than economic migrants. Peter Schuck just read the definition for what is a refugee. I won't go through that, but as such, refugees and forcibly displaced people bring a unique set of vulnerabilities that are distinct from economic migrants. Second, we are at this conference today because the globe has not seen such large numbers of forcibly displaced people since the end of World War II and the creation of UNHCR. As Tim Hatton showed this afternoon in his presentation, with his graph on salience of immigration, here in the public debate in Italy, the salience of immigration has grown sixfold since 2013. Just to contextualize, the numbers have been said, so I'll highlight a couple of things. Since 2000, we had 20 million refugees. Today we have over 60 million. I'm sorry, that's forcibly displaced people. That includes IDPs, so let's maybe be precise. So if we think just in 2014 alone, that's some 11 million people were displaced. That's an average rate of 30,000 people per day. At the same time, we've experienced unprecedented rates and flows of forcibly displaced people. Durable solutions or a cessation of refugee status remains very limited and elusive. Among the 3 recognized durable solutions, resettlement is at a steady state for the last 5 years, about 100,000 per year. Voluntary repatriation was 127,000 last year, and local integration numbers are quite negligible. So not only are numbers out of displacement falling, the evidence from research shows that conflicts are lasting longer than ever. As such, we know that to find solutions to forced displacement, these should be introduced as early as possible. The longer displacements last, the harder it is to support solutions. Another fact, developing countries host the majority of refugees, some 86%. The top hosting countries are not in the European Union, but instead led by Turkey with over 1.5 million refugees, Pakistan, Lebanon, Iran, Ethiopia, and Jordan. There are 3 major conflicts that fuel the flows of refugees, including Syria. For refugees numbers alone, it's more than 4 million. For Afghanistan, more than 2.5 million. And Somalia, a little over 1 million. Given that if we aggregated the number of forcibly displaced people into a country, they would rank as the world's 24th largest country, we know to achieve the global sustainable development goals, forcibly displaced people must be included amongst host community members. And it's thus, to achieve these, the SDGs, wide goals related to poverty reduction and increased and equitable access to services, this will require governments to take collective action to include all people, including forcibly displaced. So to help frame this discussion, I've asked the participants to prepare along 3 different perspectives. This includes, first, the perspective from a G20 country, and then from a developing country, and then from a refugee perspective. I've asked panelists to outline the foundations of respective asylum policy if they were administered from a G20 country or from a developing country. And then finally, I wanted to include the refugee perspective. There's other perspectives, but these are 3. So if given a choice, if one was a refugee, what are the set of essential policies that refugees would look for? And I specifically encourage panelists to speak to what are the necessary economic conditions for refugees in countries of first asylum. So thanks. Let me ask each of our panelists to speak for about 10 minutes, and then we, again, would invite quite a lively discussion. So let me start with Niels, please.
Thank you. Is this